Good morning, everyone. Welcome back. You're live. We're on chapter 3, and before we get to it, we're going to give tzedakah, everyone. We go tzedakah Ula, and we'll say chapter 20 for all the people that read your Refuah Shalema, and for all people that need hatzlacha on anything that they do, because in life, we all need something. Okay. Lamatzeach mizmar leDavid yancha dinar biyom sarah. Yisagef Hashem Elohe Yaakov Yishlach Ezracha Mikodesh Mitzion Yisadeka Yiskar Kol Mechasecha Va'alascha Yidash Nesela Yiten Lecha Chavavecha V'chol Atzascha Yimale Rana B'Shuasecha U'V'Shem Eloheinu Nidgol Yimale Adonai Kol Mashal Secha Ati Adati Ki Yoshi Adonai Meshicho Yanei Mishmei Kodesh B'Gvuras Yeshayimina Elav Recha Ve'elav Asus Menachem Shem Adonai Eloheinu Naskir Hema Karu V'Nafal V'Anachnu Kamnu V'Nisodad Adonai Hashia, Hamelech, Yanenu, Yom Karenu. Good morning, everyone. Hello, Helga, Boker Tov. Good morning. And we are going to, first of all, I hope everyone had a beautiful Purim. Yeah? Is it nice? Okay. And we have Tehillim here for Devorah Bas Rezela and Rachel Bas Vega. Helga was shown here, B'Surah Tovot. Okay. So now that we're over Purim, and we're getting ready for the next holiday. In fact, in school, we had a masquerade on Wednesday, Thursday morning. The kids are already learning about Paro. A little confusing between Achashverosh and Paro and Antiochus. So many villains we've had in our history, right? But we always came up victorious. No matter what happens, we always rise to the top. So I wanted to just review chapter Aleph Bays, because we're up to chapter Gimel. I want to see if you remember. Okay? So here we go. Chapter 1. What's the focus of chapter 1? What is it introducing us to? Good morning, Lynn. Good morning, Evelyn. Oh, excellent. The animal soul. That's the first thing we speak about in the whole Tanya, is the animal soul. What is the second concept we learn in the animals, in the chapter Bays? Anybody? Put it down in the comments. The godly soul. Now, remember, we have been introduced in chapter 1 the 3 kinds of people. We have the tzaddik, the Beinoni, and the Rasha. Good morning, good morning. My class started, so just join. Okay, feel free to make yourself a coffee or something. We spoke about the tzaddik, the Rasha, and the Beinoni. So we're focusing on becoming which one? The Beinoni. Is it practical to want to become a tzaddik? I don't know. Is it practical? No. Why not? Anybody? Why not? Yeah, because a tzaddik is already born with a certain level. Their nefesh elokis is predominant. Uh-oh. Something just happened, and someone's on, and I hear noise in the background. Okay, got them off. Okay. Okay, so hi, Sancha. Good morning, Linda. Hey, Linda, you must be in Israel. Good morning. So we spoke about the 3 kinds of people, the tzaddik, the Beinoni, and the Rasha. Feel free to put into the comments which level you feel you're at. And don't be too harsh on yourself. Rasha. Ooh. No, but Nikki's right. We are the Rasha V'Tovlo, gearing to being a Beinoni. And that's why what I call ourselves is, I'm going to print t-shirts one day, the Beinoni wannabe. It's the Beinoni, because that's really what we're trying to do. Every day, if we can have some Beinoni moments, like even, for example, the half hour that we're learning now, we are Beinoni. So pat yourself on the back. Good morning. We are the Beinonis for the next half hour for sure. And we can even be a Beinoni thereafter, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. That's really what the class is about. I wrote down like this. What you get out of life is what you put in. If you want to get more, put in more. It's very simple. It's not big road scholars. So we're going to talk today about how we're putting in, because, see, this has been my dilemma. We spoke the last few weeks that many times we are infiltrated with a lot of negative thoughts, a lot of negative feelings. There's something very interesting about that, because I was learning Tanya the other day, and I was trying to figure out, why are my emotions sometimes so strong? I have friends who really try to be so holy, and then they have these negative feelings and negative thoughts. They have negative ideas that others have about them, and you wonder, why? Why? I daven in the morning. I say Tehillim. I learn. Why are these negative emotions? And only you and me know the negative emotions in me, right? You know what's going on in you. Everyone around you might not know, but you know, right? Each one of us knows. I'm troubled sometimes with certain emotions, whether it's anger or jealousy or worry or anxiety. And you wonder, why do I have that? I learned, Tanya. I know. Why is that happening? Anybody want to give me a little insight before I tell you what the Alter Rebbe says? What's going on in the outside world? It definitely could affect you. Expectations. Oh, human. Okay. Something upsets you. Okay, so you're saying a very important concept that the Alter Rebbe focuses on, moach shalat alev, that even when our emotions are going crazy, we stop and we think about our emotions, and that will change our emotions. I know most pop psychology doesn't believe that, because they don't believe that the mind controls the heart. But this is something that Hasidic insight is very, very passionate and very focused on. Our thoughts can really control emotions. It's about stopping, reflecting, and really meditating on right now what's going on in my heart. I don't like that. So with our mind, we can really have the conversation. Why am I feeling that? That is not even true. I can change that. And then I would take a deep breath and we get up and go, oh, it's true. I really can control. You know, I was at a retreat this week in Chicago, and there was a professor who actually, we did meditation before we davened on Shabbat morning. It was very interesting. I want to start doing that in shul with the women. It's very interesting. We come to shul, we daven, and everything that's been in our mind the whole week. Okay, listen, let's be honest. How many of us have big kavanah while we're davening? There's the noise we're thinking of, the humming of the air conditioner. We have people who just walked in. We're looking at their boots. We're looking about what they told us that week. Then someone else walked in. The kid is crying. Davening goes by, and we're like, did I even have kavanah? How much of my hour was I really focusing on myself and Hashem, my connection? Because the mind wanders. So I want to start doing meditation with the women, and I'm going to try to get us to learn these techniques so that when you come to shul, you can meditate first, focus and center, and then hopefully we can daven without external interruptions. We're going to try it. You know what? I don't know if it's going to work. It worked at the retreat, maybe because also it was like a learning retreat. So everybody was in the mode of learning and self-growth. And the environment was just, it was a small room in the hotel. But there really is something very significant about being able to focus before we get allowing our emotions to override. So the Alter Rebbe says something very, very fascinating. He says, when you want to make a smoothie, for example, give me some examples of what you are going to put into this smoothie. Hey, good morning, Becky. Good morning, Sharon. Good morning, Raylene. Sophie. Good morning, Rosalie. Good morning, everybody. Okay. What are we putting into our smoothie to make sure that it's a very healthy drink? Yogurt. Soy milk, if you think soy is healthy, yeah. Now there's all these things that soy is not so healthy. Rivka, what are you going to put into a healthy smoothie? Oh, vegetables. People are throwing in vegetables and they're covering it up so their kids don't even notice it because it's, okay, what else are we putting in? Chia seeds. Okay. Now, what if I want to make a healthy, really healthy smoothie, but that morning, all I find is chocolate, cocoa, sugar, 4% milk. Am I going to get out of that smoothie what my other smoothie ingredients would have given me? But in my mind, like my plans are to make a healthy smoothie. Why is that not going to be obvious? Oh, that's also true. That is true.
Smoothie banana gain more weight.
Yeah.
People think because it's liquid.
Yeah, okay. So now that's another very interesting piece. So now we have like this. We have a smoothie that has, like we're saying, bananas, vegetables, chia seeds. Maybe is oat milk healthier than soy milk? I don't know. I'm not even sure. There's a lot of controversy. Okay. What you put into your smoothie is what you're going to get out. So the Alter Rebbe is teaching us something very interesting. In this Perek Gimel, he's going to teach us the anatomy of the human being, right? There are how many sfirot, how many powers does every one of us have? 10. We said the 3 intellectual powers, which are chesed, chachma, bina, and da'at. Those are the 3 intellectual. And then the 7 emotional are chesed, kevura, tiferet, netzach, hod, yisod, malchus. Those are the 7 that we're going to talk about and elaborate more in Tanya. But if we want to get chesed to be very, very dominant, like I wake up one day and we'll say, today is going to be a day I'm going to be full of chesed. I'm going to be nice to myself. I'm going to be nice to my spouse. I'm going to be nice to my kids. I'm going to be full of giving to anyone I encounter. I'm sitting at a restaurant and I see someone, I'm going to really think about them and be nice. The door is about to be open. I'm going to jump and open it up for someone. Someone's getting out of a car and I'm going to notice if there's ice there, I'm going to warn them. I'm going to be on alert, a chesed alert. That's my plan. But how can it happen? I want to get chesed day. I really want it. How can I have that happening? So the Alter Rebbe chapter Gimel says it something very, very practical. He says, whatever you put in is what you're going to get out. So concentrate on chesed. Think about it, because that's what's going to be your motion.
I think she said it, or one of you two, but it was the outside. Let's say this morning I woke up with a lot of chesed, and like I wanted to do good.
Yeah.
And I got a phone call on the way here that almost made me turn around. And I said stuff that I didn't want to say, but because other people put their bad energy on you,
right?
Then
right. And I think at this point, Rivka, that is so. First of all, I was able to see that when you walked in. Yeah, but that's such a practical point because we can't just control what we're thinking. We can't control. What if you're making a smoothie, comes along your 2-year-old, throws in a thing of cocoa, comes along your husband and throws in a bar of chocolate? It's someone else that threw it into your smoothie. What to do? So our choice is to spill out the smoothie, start again. Spill it out and start again. So Rivka's analogy is very practical. Let's focus on that. You're full of chesed. You wake up in the morning, you say Moda Ani, you fill yourself up with gratitude. Say yourself, today's going to be a day of chesed. It's going to be positive. I'm going to talk nice to people because I know I'm going to emanate positivity. But then comes that phone call, or that comes that nasty neighbor in the condo elevator, or that comes that nasty teacher at the door of the school. So yeah. So I think
because I'm stronger than that person, try to put me down.
So that's what Rivka's.
Stop the car. I was supposed to be on time.
Yeah.
Stop the car and said they're not worth it.
Yeah.
But
and now you only have a certain amount of space in your smoothie cup. You can either keep filling it with the junk and then just shush it and drink it, or you can pour it out and we're going to refill. So what that teacher, whatever, if it was a teacher, whatever, did, the negative, you pull over, you think, that's that person's negative energy. That's their conduct. That's their problem. I'm not even going to allow it to enter into my psyche. I have to get it out. I'm going to deal with it because it's a reality, but I'm not letting it take over because I am in charge what's going into my smoothie. Listen, no one can force you what to drink. No one. Unless you're a baby and someone pinches your, you have to take the medicine and you have to take your child. You have done them when their kid was small. And you have to, then you put in that little Advil and the baby kicks and screams and then they spit it out anyway. Right? We've done that. They had a choice. They didn't want to take that amoxicillin or that Advil. They spit it out. Why can't we learn from our babies? Spit it out. Spit it out. If we allow it to consume us, that's our choice. And it's coming a lot. We're living in a world where there's really going to be a lot of that. Spit it out. And then say, like, that's what you're doing now. You spit it out. You've parked your car. You've come here now. You're going to refill that cup. We're going to refill it with Torah, with Chassidus. And the Alter Rebbe says in this chapter, he says, I'm going to teach you how to create the proper emotions. I don't know. To me, this is magical. I always want to have good emotions. I always want to have positive emotions. But until I learned Tanya, I didn't realize that I am in control. How? So he says like this. You have Chachma, you've got Bina, and that creates your das. It's funny, we're having our 36th gala this Sunday night. And the president of our show, his wife, she's a dancer. She does all kinds of musical and all kinds of songs, and she's done things for Broadway, etc. So she wrote a song about Chabad, which is Chachma Bina Das. And I heard a little bit of it. It goes, you've got Chachma with Bina, you put them together, that's what you get. And then they're doing a whole thing. The guys have the tap hats, and they're going to be tap dancing with the song, because people don't realize they go to Chabad, but they don't realize, what is Chabad? Chabad is about teaching us how to control our emotions. And I'm telling you, if the world would learn about Chachma Bina Das affecting emotions, imagine how nice people would be. You would not have got that phone call. That teacher, but was the teacher a rabbi or someone who learns Chabad? No. If that teacher could learn what Chachma Bina Das means, it would affect our emotions, which affects what? Our dibur. Our emotions affect our machshava dibur ma'aseh. So it's not like a 1 week, I learned it, now I'm going to be great. It's a lifetime of studying. But if I could learn that my chachma, which means what? Wisdom. That initial spark, which is when we learn Tanya. Bina is when we discuss the Tanya. That means taking that spark of wisdom, but discussing it, which is what we do here. But what's das? You need those three. You need Chachma Bina Das to really change you. To change you. If you want to change and become a better wife, if I want to become a better mother, if I want to become a better neighbor, employer, neighbor, sibling, I need to focus on my Chachma Bina Das. Then I will just become a nicer person. Listen, all of us know the one or two people that are just always so nice. You think to yourself, wow, how does she do that? I'd love to be that person that everyone knows. She's so nice. They're just always so nice because they're always talking nice things. They're always acting so nice. How do they do that? They've mastered, or they're working on every day. They're not mastered, because the tzaddik master that. The rest of us are working every day on our chachma. We learn it. So number one is to learn Torah, a little bit of Torah every morning. So we learn together Tanya on a Tuesday, but you used to go to a class every morning. Do you still do? Okay. You go to a class every single morning, or you go online, go to Chabad.org, and listen to a class every morning. That is going to be your Chachma and Bina. Then what do you have to do? das. So das is when you take all that and you put it into action. So for example, after everyone leaves the class today, you immediately go do something good. You do a mitzvah. You call someone who's not well on the phone and just say hi. You call an old neighbor and say, I'm going shopping, you need me to pick you up something. So you make it into das. Das means taking your chachma and taking your bina and making it practical. Because in theory, for example, the story that I told you a long time ago about that Jewish girl who was out there in India involved with the guru, and her family wanted her so badly to come home, but she loved the lifestyle of the guru, the lifestyle of this Buddhism, because this was so holy. But then the day that she was walking up the hill and he found a wallet, and she knew about Hashavas Aveda. She knew that you have to return lost items. So she watched him. And what did he do? He picked up the wallet and said, finders, keepers, losers, weepers, which means he might have had chachma, he might have had a lot of wisdom from Buddhism, but it meant nothing because it was not practiced. That is baloney. That chachma bina is baloney. Or, out of the terms, it's garbage. Because if you can put into das what you've learned, it's useless. Hey, good morning, Shoshana. Good morning, Karen. So what we're learning in chapter Gimel is so practical. I mean, I think we can even close the book and we're done. But we're not done yet. We are learning that every time you learn Torah or you learn Hasidus or you learn something, take that knowledge and make it into action. Because what happens is, once you go into action, you've wired yourself to doing. You know, I think people that have struggled with a stroke, that have suffered with a stroke, they have to go back to therapy. I had a friend, a shlucha, who had a terrible stroke a few years ago, and she was in rehab. She was learning how to put little squares back into cups. This is a woman in her 60s, early 70s, a shlucha, a mother of many, many children and grandchildren. And it was so sad. I went to visit her one day, and she was sitting with her physiotherapist, and she was doing what? She was putting in things that I do with my 2-year-olds in school. Why did she have to do that? Because she had to rewire. She had to rewire all of her skills, all of her brain waves. Something that a 2-year-old did was wiped out by the stroke. You know, when my Zalmi was 6 months old, the first 4 months, the therapists were blown away by this child. He was picking up and doing things that a typical child was doing. He's Down syndrome. And they were like, wow. I mean, this kid is going to be a highest level Down syndrome child. He was turning over when a typical kids would crawl. He was beginning to crawl. And then one afternoon, I started seeing very weird things like, anybody know what that is? It's a stroke called infantile spasms. And it doesn't look like a typical stroke where the eyes roll and then they fall over. It's the opposite. Their eyes get big and they have jerky movements. Didn't know what it was. I took a video, quickly sent it to my doctor. He said, get to the neurologist this second. We grabbed him, ran to one of the most incredible neurologists who that moment took an EEG and gave us medication. And he told us very bad news. He said, your child is experiencing spasms that are affecting every one of his brain neural waves. And if we don't stop it, everything that he learned will be wiped out. So by then I had spent thousands and thousands of dollars on therapy, gone. He was back to square one, like he was 1 day old. And every time he had another spasm, it sent him back. So we had to spend, it was, yeah. And he still kept his therapy, but it meant nothing. He was still, literally, he was being wiped out. Baruch Hashem, after a year, we got the right medication, and his spasm stopped, and then he started learning, so he was never able to be that incredible high level. But in other ways, Zalmi was a bigger tzaddik than anyone that for sure that I know. But what I'm trying to explain is like this. We, with learning Tanya, we are every day, by learning Chassidus, we are reframing our godly brains brainwaves. Why? So that our initial reaction to things will change because we are changing our brainwaves. Understand? When we learn the Chachma and Bina is getting that instrumental, important material, but it's not going to change us until the Da'as, and we start doing action. And then once we do this enough, that will be the go-to way of our behavior. So if I put in junk, but then eventually I spill out all those cups and I just start filling up my cups with good stuff, or just eating, like Rivka's saying, just eating bananas, eating good, healthy food, eventually I'm just going to give out good, healthy nutrients and good, healthy vitamins. So the Chachma is that initial wisdom. The Bina is dissecting it, understanding it. The Das is the action, making it something that I could practically. So if I'm learning about tzedakah, going out there and actually giving it to tzedakah, that's das. If I'm learning about good speech and I understand it, I'm learning about it. But then when I go out and someone says something negative and I react, that means das didn't happen. So it's still staying up there as Chachma and Bina. Now, why is this important? Think about what Chachma and Bina are in reality. Chachma is the male, father. Bina is the mother, right? We always say Bina is the woman. Talmud always uses this beautiful expression. Bina yitera, finish it for me. Natna liisha. Extra dose of Bina is given to who? A woman. Because we as women have an extra sense of Bina. But Da'as is when Chachma and Bina comes together. And they give birth to a child. Now, it's very interesting. Emotions are called children. Our emotions are called children. Why is that? Because Chachma and Bina, when they come together into Da'as, they give birth to our emotions. Mom and dad, when they conceive, they gave birth to their children. And I know we have sometimes a mom and dad who are on the opposite spectrum and they were not even happy and they gave birth to children who are unusually beautiful. And you think to yourself, how did that happen? Some children have a special neshama that comes from a very high place. And that, Tanya says, cannot even be described or explained. They come from a higher source. And many times one of the parents was thinking of beautiful things and they gave birth to emotions. Usually a Chachma Bina, if they're all over the place, give birth to all over the place emotions. That's what Tanya's telling us. The odd time that you have children that are incredible when they're born, the odd time someone could be so special even when their Chachma and Bina are so out of whack and they're still such nice people. You wonder how did that happen? But that's not the typical. And we can't rely on that. We have to work on the Chachma and Bina being holy, being complete, being constant, being connected, being focused. Then we're going to have our chesed, gvur, tiferet, so nice. Listen, chesed we know means what? Kindness. What's gvura? Strength. Now, do we need gvura? Yes. Well, not even that. Even being a parent. If you were a mother that was just full of chesed, what kind of mother would you be? What? Milkshakes all the time. Go to sleep whenever you want. You could wear your bathing suit to school. That's okay. It's -3 if that's what you want. Is a chesed parent ideal? No. But what's gevura? Like you said, strong and powerful. But it's also critique. And sometimes we need that in a marriage. Sometimes we need that in raising families. I know, sweetie pie, you want to have pizza every single day, but you know what? I want you to be healthy. I'm going to give you meat and other fruits and vegetables. That's being gevura with chesed. And when you put chesed and gevura together, do you know which emotion you get? Tiferet. What does tiferet mean? Beauty. And in Tanya terms, it means harmony. we took chesed, we took gevura, we put them together, we created a harmony. Do you know which one of our patriarchs was called Tiferet? Avram was chesed, Yitzchak was gevura, Yaakov was harmony. And that's why he gave birth to the 12 tribes, which were all holy people, and we come from those tribes, as opposed to Avram's 2 kids. We do not come from Avram's 2nd kid, Yishmael, and Yitzchak's 2 kids. We do not come from Esav. So we come only from Yaakov's kids, because Yaakov was Tiferet. Yaakov took Chesed and Gevura. He put them together. He harmonized, and he was that perfect blend of which we try to emulate. Isn't that interesting? So even though he was born in a home where he had a brother like Asa, a brother who tried to kill him, he grew up in a home that was a place where he had to run for his life. If that's not an abusive child, what is? And yet, he built a magnificent home that gave us the 12 tribes. Look around the show, the 12 tribes. Look behind me, the 12 tribes. We emulate the 12 tribes. Yeah, they had issues. They sold Yosef and there was sibling rivalry. But all of us come from these holy people. Because not saying that, by the way, if you're Tiferes, you're perfect. Oh my God. Yes, and Tiferes is the balance. Exactly, Rivka. So we're going to meet people that have chesed. We're going to encounter people like you did this morning that are full of gevura. Horrible. They're only gevura. We don't want to be that. We are going to take our chachma dinas, put them together, create the das, impregnate ourselves with the emotions, and we will focus on. But there's sometimes you need gevura, my friends. If someone comes out there and says a swear against a Jew, you get up there and defend. You get up there and defend the Jews. If someone says something against Israel, you defend Israel. How dare we backstab our country? Are they perfect? No. Is every country in the world perfect? No. But we defend, just like we love our children even if they're imperfect. If someone says something about my kid bad, I will defend my child. I will acknowledge that they're not perfect, and I will say, listen, if there's something that has to be repaired, I will. But I'm not going to say, yeah, that kid of mine, I wish I could sell him. It's my kid. Israel is mine. The Jewish people are mine. By the way, when I travel, I don't know about you, but I have an antenna like this to smell out anti-Semites. So an example, if I will see a frum guy, this is when I'm traveling myself, but if I see a frum guy with a beard and a hat, I will keep my eye on him the entire time I'm sitting in the terminal. You cannot imagine. If anybody dares say anything anti-Semitic, you're there. I'm there. I am there. I feel like I have to be a defender. Now, when with my husband, obviously, but nothing's ever happened to us, which is very interesting. If you have this Gaon Yaakov, by the way, you have strength. Nobody can attack you. But I had an experience, and we're going to finish the class now. I had an experience when I was coming back from Ukraine to Canada, and England, the terminal to go to London, England, was right next to us. And right in front of me, as I'm getting off the plane, there was a frum couple, and with the hat, with the long payas, the beard, the long coat. And him and his wife they were getting their baggage through the baggage claim. And there was a couple behind him, an English couple, father, mother, and 2 sons. And I could spot them out today. This happened 12 years ago. And the 2 kids were laughing at his clothes. And the parents saw, and they laughed along. I went out of my Ukrainian terminal area. I walked over to this couple. I said, do you see what your kids are doing now? They said, what? I said, they're laughing at that Jewish fellow. They're laughing at his clothes. They go, yeah, well, they find it funny. I said, do you know how disgusting your children are behaving? Laughing at someone's religious clothing? And you are behind that? You are okay with that? What kind of children are you raising? Children that have no tolerance for anyone other themselves? And they're going to laugh their way through any time they see someone that looks different than them? What kind of home are you building? And what kind of despicable children are you bringing into the world? Said, you should be ashamed of yourself. Now, I don't even know if this frum couple noticed because they already gone off. They shrugged me off, but they heard me. And those kids heard me. After I was shaking because I get very, very, very. I walked back to my terminal, and I'm sure there were like 100 people that overheard me. But we have to defend. Our Gevurah must be out there when we see wrong. So Gevurah is not something that we have to wipe away. Gevurah, Hashem gave us Gevurah because it's needed. And like you said, it's a blend. But being only Gevurah, yelling always at your spouse, yelling always at your kids, yelling always at the students in your class, yelling and yelling, yelling because you're right. That is a horrible kind of person to be either. I'm sorry. Okay. Nobody wants to be around us when we're like that. So we have to learn today. We have to take the chachma, which is the flash. We have to take the bina, which is the intuition. And we bring it together, and that gives us the das, which is the bringing it into practicality. And when we learn to do that, then we actually can change our emotions, which is something that is so powerful because we want to create emotions that will be pleasant, that will be beautiful. So my recommendation is that once we leave this class, we've learned about Chacham Dinas, we know that we have to make das. Let's go out there and do one piece of das or more, making it practical, making mitzvahs practical and actionable. And then watch, this is the interesting, watch how our emotions will be nicer. People around us will say, "Oh," or maybe they won't say it, but they'll notice it. And if they could follow through till the end of the day, that would be really amazing. I'm talking to myself right now. So wishing you an amazing day, and we'll see you, Mitzvah Shem, next Tuesday. We're back in business. I'm not traveling anywhere. Okay.
I have a question about what you said